So here's a few running backs I'm looking to start here heading into Week 13. The first guy's Carson of the Seattle Seahawks. It was nice to see him come back in this ball game and have a nice beast touchdown, running defenders off. He finished the game versus Philly on Monday night with 8 rushes, 41 yards, and that monster touchdown with 2 catches for 18 yards. And this week he's got the New York Giants coming up. And it's a great matchup. The Giants give up the 8th most fantasy points to running backs. Carson, another week back, another week healthy, and he's going to get run here. The only thing that was concerning is he got out-touched on that Monday night game by Carlos Hyde, was Carson, 17 to 10 touches. But this game, it was out of reach early, so I think they were just resting Carson. And even in a limited role, Carson had 14 fantasy points. So I think as the weeks go on in Seattle, they still need to win games. Carson, he's going to get his full workload back, and they just eased him into that ball game. So he's the first guy I'm going to start. The second guy I'm starting this week at running back is DAndre Swift of the Detroit Lions. If he comes back, he's been out now the last 2 weeks with a concussion. This week, I know he's got a tough matchup here versus the Chicago Bears, but Swift, he was looking good early and often in that ball game versus Washington before he got injured. Adrian Peterson, I know he had 2 touchdowns, but he still wasn't doing much on the ground. And Kerryon Johnson, he had some pass-catching plays out of the backfield, but he had a crucial fumble in that ball game too. So I think DAndre Swift, he's going to have a good game if he comes back. He's going to play well, and he's going to get things going. I know it's a tough matchup at Chicago, but Stafford, he's going to use this guy in many ways. I think he's better as a receiver at times than as a running back. So I think he's going to have a good game, and he's a guy you should start with confidence if he comes back this week. The third running back I'm going to start this week is David Montgomery. We're staying in the same ball game. Montgomery, I haven't been high on him most of the season, and I'm still not, but I'm sticking with him here because he's versus a Detroit Lion team that gives up the 2nd most fantasy points to running backs. And with Mitchell Trubisky, believe it or not, this offense did look improved, even though the Packers still blew this bad team out. And in Week 12, Montgomery, he did take advantage of a weak defense in the Packers, who gave up the 1st most fantasy points to running backs, when Montgomery finished the ball game with 11 carries, 103 yards, 5 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown. So he had 25 fantasy points. I don't expect him to get that much in this ball game, but versus Detroit, I could see him getting anywhere from 15 to 20 is Montgomery. And like I said in other videos, they don't have many guys there. Cordell Patterson, who's really a receiver, is their backup running back, and we saw that a few weeks ago when Montgomery was out in Week 10 versus Minnesota. So Montgomery, the third guy I'm going to start this week. The fourth guy is J.K. Dobbins of the Baltimore Ravens. Dobbins, we saw him break out in Week 11 there with a monster ball game versus Tennessee. 15 carries, 70 yards, a rushing touchdown, and 2 catches for 15 yards and a 2-point conversion. Dobbins, he should be the guy over there in Baltimore. Gus Edwards, he's decent, but he's more of just a short yardage guy. And Mark Ingram, he looks washed up to me. So Dobbins here, he's a guy, he's going to have a role. He should get 15, 20 touches a game. And this Baltimore team, they need a spark in their offense. They're not playing well. They've lost a lot of games where there's teams they should have beat. And now J.K. Dobbins, he's got to get the work and he's got to get the targets. And he's a guy in my running back rest of season rankings. I got it number 18. So if they just give this kid the work, he's going to be good the rest of the way. And he's got an amazing matchup here in Week 13 versus the Dallas Cowboys that everyone torches. And I could see Dobbins once again go for a huge ball game in that one. So J.K. Dobbins would be the 5th running back I like here this week. Heading into Week 13 to start, Nyheim Hines of the Indianapolis Colts. Hines now, I know he's the every down passing and 3rd down back, but this guy, if he could get every down work, which I think he can, he's going to be good, man. And he's putting up a bunch of points of late in PPR leagues the last 3 weeks now. 28 points at Tennessee, 11 in Week 11, 830. And then now when we saw him get more work, he had 1750, 8 catches, 66 yards, 10 carries, 29 yards. So either way, Hines, he's going to be a factor in the backfield. I know Jonathan Taylor had to sit this one out, so some of those carries are going to go down for Hines, but I still think he's going to put him in work and make some plays. He's Nyheim Hines, and he's got a great matchup versus Houston, who gives up the 4th most fantasy points to running backs. And Nyheim Hines, he's a safe start. He's a good play, and he's a guy I got in my top 30 rankings rest of the season for running backs. So that's 5 running backs I'm looking to start heading into week 13.